Hello and welcome to Do Human Work, the podcast that looks at the future of cybersecurity through the lens of AI. I am your host, Nate Burke, CMO at 7AI, and I am joined here in Austin, Texas by...
Hi, Lior Div.
I thought you were going to say howdy.
Howdy.
All right, great. Today, we have a very, very, very special guest. Someone who's not just in cybersecurity, but actively reshaping how we talk about it. So Ron Eddings is a Gen AI security researcher, co-founder of Hacker Valley Media, and someone many of you know from his content. He's been talking a lot about breaches, about AI guardrails, and the hidden debt of time in security operations. Ron's mission is to inspire, empower, and uplift the technology community through knowledge and human stories. He is the author of Attack Surface Management, Strategies and Techniques for Safeguarding Your Digital Assets. He hosts multiple shows where he explores the intersection of humanity and technology. And, full disclosure, we actually got a chance to work together at Exonius, and his team edits and helps us with this very podcast. So he has been instrumental in helping us think about how to tell better stories in cybersecurity. Ron, welcome to Do Human Work.
Thank you. I am honored to be on the show, and I'm so honored to hear the background and intro because I'm usually the one doing that. So it's nice to hear it on this side.
So, Ron, you've got a very unique path from working in enterprise security to then becoming a content creator and a thought leader and an author. But one of your quotes that I love, that I remember from a while back, which is, technologists are mental athletes with no off season. So what drove you from being in the trenches, from being one of those athletes to then becoming the voice that helps others navigate those trenches?
Wanting an off season.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, it's a long question with a short answer. I love that.
But in all seriousness, I wanted to touch more technology. You know, when you get into a specific role in cyber or, take a specific job at a cybersecurity vendor, you're kind of boxed into doing that one thing. You know, if you're hired to be a red teamer, you better be red teaming. Maybe not defending. If you're hired to be a sales consultant, you better be selling. With Hacker Valley, I could kind of mix and match many of my skills. I could be doing a little bit of technical work. I get to do a lot of creative work. And I do like selling, so I also get to sell as well. But, in cyber, you can't really sell. You got to sell to stakeholders. But in this context, you get to sell creative ideas.
So you built Hacker Valley Media as something special, not just another security podcast. And I think you call it a platform and not a podcast, which makes me ask the question, what is broken about how we traditionally communicate in cybersecurity?
There's a few different broken elements, and I think we fixed quite a few, actually. When I was coming up, and I would say from 2010 to 2015, getting access to knowledge was pretty difficult. Yeah. There was SANS courses, and everyone knows SANS is high quality, but also high price point. And there wasn't a lot of online resources. So in 2015, I started making YouTube videos, and I was like, okay, I'm going to try to satisfy a niche, satisfy a need. And then a few other creators started to do the same thing, like John Hammond. There's this guy, Live Overflow. They started creating videos. So 2017, I met Chris, and we found a gap in podcasting. We're like, okay, let's start a podcast. So in 2018, we started a podcast and satisfied one of those gaps. There wasn't enough people talking about their story, their journey in cybersecurity. And now what I think we're struggling with is a value gap. Getting content that actually gives you value, that makes you think about it, that stays with you, that lingers with you after you leave. A lot of content that you see out there is either very vendor centric, someone talking about a specific subject really to take you back to their product, or where they're not talking about cybersecurity close enough at all. It's very on the fringe. And I would say maybe that's where more so my show is more so on the fringe. So I think, anyone that's starting something now, especially what you all are doing, talking about AI, really putting the emphasis on the agent and AI, I think kind of gets you to leave people with value, but also to talk about things that are more so on the fringes.
Yeah, the way that I view it is almost how can we have an open, candid, honest conversation
Yeah.
that don't necessarily has a very distinct agenda of at the end of the show it's like, okay, click here, buy my product.
Exactly.
And I'm a big believer that if people get into the motion of understanding something new and we can trigger their imagination, eventually it's like if you have a good product, they're going to ask about it. But it's you I think that the days that you lead with a product and you lead with buy this, it's like in my mind they're gone. And this is kind of part of the reasoning that we started to do this podcast, like literally saying it's like, okay, there is that thing that called AI and agents and swarm of agents. And I think that there is a lot of kind of confusion in the market what that thing is, how is it affecting my life. But the interesting thing that everybody is talking about it as it's obvious what is the thing. And I think that today we can a little bit try to unpack, what is the thing.
Especially in the AI world, what is an agent? I think, if you look at cybersecurity, what we need right now is some value on that. Like, how do we apply AI that is going to really help reduce our costs? I love what y'all are doing at 7AI, trying to replace the tier 1 analysts. When people talk about replacing tier 1 and talk about agents, there's a lot of talk about jobs. Like, oh, are you trying to get rid of all the jobs? I think, providing value is getting rid of jobs in a lot of cases, because I never wanted to be a tier 1 SOC analyst. I've actually never met anyone that does want to be that specific thing. And, looking back at my evolution of my career, there was many things that I was doing over and over again that I never wanted to do. Enrichment was a big piece. And then SOAR came out. And then, we were in cloud configuration. And then these CSPM tools came out. And now we're like, okay, how do we bridge the gap with something new and automate everything? But I think that's where we could use a lot of value, is like, how can we take what we have and apply AI towards it?
Yeah, the way that I think that we are thinking about it is it's not about the features. It's really about the outcome. Literally, people running, to be honest, to be a CISO today, it's a very hard job. And to run a team, it's a very hard job. And to be in those teams, it's very hard. Then the question is, how can you create something, and this something can be AI agent or whatever it is, that deliver not another feature, is actually deliver an outcome that take away some work that people need to do. And we call it kind of the differentiation between the human work and the non-human work. We're in a big believer that a lot of the work that people are doing, it's toil, boring, repeatable, people should not do them. And we believe that there is a lot of work that people should do. So I don't think that anybody is going to lose their job right now in security here in the US because of an AI agent. I think that those teams just going to shift up and be much more strategic to their organization. But let's talk about agents.
Yeah. Let's get back to that. So I think we were just talking about let's demystify the thing. Let's say what it is, and maybe we can try something live. So Ron, I know that you have played around a lot with AI agents and a lot of different tools, a lot of different use cases. So maybe instead of going right into like AI agents, like we talk about at 7AI, like what is an example if someone's just listening for the first time and trying to figure out what is this thing AI agent? Maybe if you could give an example of something that you've used that eliminates something manual that isn't even necessarily in security, but like just to ground us in the concept.
The first agent that I've ever seen or used was Claude Code. It was impressive. I gave it a task. I said, hey, I want you to go into this broken Chrome extension that I wrote and figure out what's broken about it and fix it and test it. And it did all of those things. It looked at the code. It did a code review. Then it created a task list and said, all right, I'm going to do these things next. And then it went and did those things. And then it told me it was done. It was beautiful. That was the first agent that I've seen. And one of the only ones that I would say that really led me to an outcome rather than a set of steps that I need to like go and do after that.
Yeah, I have a funny story around it. My kid, he is 12 now, and it's like, okay, let's learn how to code and Python, and we're coding, and it's like, great. And then something was not working, and it's like almost the same story. I said, okay, now we're gonna debug line by line. and we will see why it's not working. He looked at me like, huh? Took it, put it in ChatGPT, get it back and say, you see, this is why it's not working. And I'm like, okay, he's gonna be part of the workforce in 7 years, let's say. So I don't think that maybe you don't need to know how to debug, you know? So it's like, and this is like today, 7 years from now, it's like, I think that the whole thing gonna be very, very different.
That's awesome that your son is curious enough to like figure out the solution, even though, you know, dad is trying to help him. It's like, all right, I'm going to show you, dad. You got the AI company, but I'm going to show you how to use ChatGPT. I love that.
So now let's take a step back, because I think that, you know, your first experience with agent was very, very positive. But let's try to define together what is an AI agent.
Right. There's a creator that I follow on YouTube. His name is Indie Dev Dan. Big shout outs to him because I watch his videos every week. And he says that the prompt is the most fundamental unit of work.
Yep.
And I agree with that. When you think about an agent, it's combining those units of work together and accomplishing multiple units of work. If you carry out more than 2 steps, I would call that an agentic workflow.
Okay, so the way that we tried to codify it, we said, okay, at the beginning it was chatbots. So you put a prompt, they're telling you stuff. So basically they're writing English. But when it's crossed the line between telling you stuff, just writing a story, is actually doing stuff, maybe this is an AI agent, meaning once it's starting to operating, if it's code, if it's any API, then from my point of view, it's moved from talking to doing. And once we move from talking to doing, now you're an agent.
Yeah, and it's confusing because talking is doing in a lot of cases. Like talking to someone on my behalf is doing it. So I think sometimes it could feel like something isn't an agentic workflow, but it might be.
That's, to be honest, the reason that I kind of like your definition, because it's bringing us a little bit back into kind of what is an agent. So then the next evolution of it, what will happen when those two agents gonna start talking with each other? So now we're moving from an agent to a multi-agent, and then to a swarm of agents. And I believe that kind of, let's say, 5 years fast forward, it's like probably everything will talk with everything.
Reminds me of the API.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. It's a lot like it. One of the things that blew my wig back, I have no hair, blew my wig back, was MCP.
Yeah.
MCP opens the world of possibilities on the good and bad. It allows you to truly create AI slop if you choose to do so. But if you can prompt the models right, you might get gold.
So let's back up on that. So what is MCP and what about it like really, blew your hair off your head?
MCP is Model Context Protocol. And what it allows you to do is essentially connect one model to another model. And that's really all it is. You're allowing the LLM to interact with data sources. In a lot of cases, they're APIs, they could be files on your file system, but you're giving your LLM the ability to interact with things that are not within the LLM sandbox.
Exactly. It's like the way that I think about it is the ability for the AI extend their capability by learning more capability. And the basic way to think about it, an LLM going to an MCP and asking it is like, what can you do for me? And basically the MCP is telling, you can do this and this and that by asking me a question and speak with me in this language. And now suddenly those two starting to interact. And I agree with you. Once that thing happened, it's like magic suddenly appear.
Yeah. And with MCP, I'm not sure how much you have experimented with them. Like when it comes to like personal projects, like email or your calendar, they're pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's not good yet. I think it might be because of the sheer amount of data that APIs return. Like APIs return big old JSON blobs, and then the AI has to read through all that information, and it has a limited memory. So I think once we figure out how to consolidate some of the information that's shared from an API to an LLM is when we're going to start to see really good agents come to life.
Yeah, so we're using them a lot when we're building the code, but it's we're not in the state that you just create it and it works. It's like I have a visual, mental visual of people like fixing it till it's shaped to the form that it can actually work. So we're not in the days that you just create your MCP server, connect it to whatever, and it's working. But again, what I see is the evolution is so fast right now that I want to say 3 years, but probably I'm wrong. Probably it's going to happen faster than we think.
What do y'all want to happen when it comes to agents?
Meaning,
Like, especially looking at cybersecurity, like the world is literally our oyster, especially with things like APIs, and now there's more data than we know what to do with.
You know what makes me think of, and while you guys were just talking about that, especially through MCP and what works and what doesn't now, it's almost like streaming, right? Like right now, live streaming anything you want, you just take it for granted, right? And we don't think of back in the days where a real player was buffering and, you could have like 8 concurrent sessions and that sort of thing. We just now take it for granted. And it almost seems like, sometime in the very near future, it'll be like the equivalent of just the data is streaming back and forth without it having to be like, taking apart blobs and trying to understand where the breakpoint is and that sort of thing. It's like, it almost feels like that.
so it reminds me the first day of Netflix. So it was not really working, It's like you watch a movie and it's like,
Whenever I show my family AI, especially like the new agents that are coming to life, the demos fail on me. And I'm like, it works when I'm by myself so well. And I think maybe that's why there's not just massive adoption everywhere, young, old, corporate, non-corporate for AI quite yet.
Yeah, but I think that we are doing it for many, many years to observe a few things. One, the rate of change is faster than anything that I saw. Even in this company, compared to my previous company, it's like we reached to a full-blown working product in production, Fortune 500, basically with less than 50 people and less than a year and a half. Previous company, it's probably took us 3 years and 150 people. So my point is things are moving. It's like objectively they're moving faster. So I think that we're experienced enough to know that while it's like you can't see the movie yet, and it's like frame by frame, I think that we were very close. That's my feeling, at least.
I love the real player analogy. I feel like that's exactly where we're at. I could feel the frustration back then to right now. Like it feels the same.
It does. The other thing too is I think, like you said, the demo is lost when you try to show your like friends and family AI, and I think part of that is because like we are just used to everything breaks always, right? So like think about when you write code, like you're gonna fail 50 times before something works, and then you're like, I'm the smartest man alive, right? But then you're saying like, all right, they don't have that. They don't have the point of, but instead of 50 times, it failed twice and then fixed itself. Like, isn't that magic? They're like, but it doesn't work. It broke twice. So I think it's that like you're so close to the fact that like the only way to get something to work is to fail 1,000,000 times. And I think people don't see that and they don't expect that. They don't see what's under the hood and everything's broken always. And now we're saying, well, not anymore. And it's fixing itself. I don't think they feel the magic that we do.
Yeah. I think that's the difference between cutting edge and bleeding edge. And right now, especially if you're using things like MCP, you're on the bleeding edge.
It's funny that you're saying it because inside the company, it's like, of course we're doing MCP. I mean, it's like, it's been, it's there forever. And then you think about it, those 3 letters came about, I don't know, 6 months ago.
Well, I mean, we talk about AI agents like we were, talking about them in high school. I mean, this thing's like a year old in a term that we feel like everybody knows. And, you leave these walls and nobody knows what we're talking about.
Gartner just released a top AI agents. Like they did the whole Magic Quadrant, and Claude was not on the list. X went wild, and but people forget that Claude Code came out. I think it was March or April. Yeah. But they were very upset that it wasn't on like this Gartner Magic Quadrant that was probably started when Claude Code was released.
How you generate or create content that enable people to catch up and basically understand what's going on. Somebody asked me, it's like, what do you read in order to And it's like, it's just hard to answer. It's like, that's what everything. That's the internet.
This reminds me of something that I was just talking to some of my friends about, and also my wife about, is it's not good enough to be good anymore.
Yeah.
You got to be great. And I think when it comes to like AI and augmentation through AI, we're going to really start to see that. When you look at some of the security tools that are out there today, I would say overall pretty good. But when you talk to the enterprise, they're a lot more critical. They're looking at UX now. When we were first getting started in our career, UX was not part of the conversation. It was, what does it have this feature? Can it do this functionality? But now people are getting a lot more critical. I think that we see this when it comes to products, but we're going to start to see this especially when it comes to the practitioner as well.
Yeah, I think that we talked about it a little bit. In general, in the age of AI, there is kind of this change of expectation, meaning that once AI is like in the conversation, expectations are moving from here to here immediately. And without even like, and it's for people, it's natural, of course. But I say, this is a new technology. Just
Yeah, it's wild. I don't even know how to react to it. I'm trying to create AI content just like everyone else, but I'm also trying to stay aligned with the original goals that I have. You know, it's easy to get caught up in what's happening in the AI space and forget about what you're supposed to be doing in your current domain.
But this is, I think, leading us to what's the value and kind of the outcome that we're bringing to people, because I don't care about the tooling. It's really about, it's like if we're providing value to them as a company, as an individual, then we're doing good.
Yeah, but I think too, and this might be just a good place to bring this up, is like you said, there's plenty of good out there, and what we're saying is it's got to be exceptional. And I think this is where, you know, and I'll hand it off to you in a second to talk about the Michelin star thing, because I think this is a good way to introduce it here. But I think the other thing too is like, there's a lot out there that's free, right? And so you've got open source tools, you've got things that, you know, companies like Microsoft give away as part of something else, right? So you have, I'm competing with free, right? So that's the first part. So that's when UI and UX gets really into that. But I think it really leads to your point of this idea of this hidden debt of time, right? And you can exchange your time or your dollars. It's one or the other, right? So either you have your people, you've got developers that are taking an open source project and customizing it to work for you, or you're going to pay someone else. But in order to pay someone else, it really has to be exceptional. I think this is something we kind of took to heart. I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit.
It's a long story, but I'll make it short. Basically, my whole thing when we speak inside the company, I'm saying everybody can build software, okay? And let's focus on the one that will build great software. So software will be great, but then there is everything that's surrounding it that will make a great and exceptional and generational company. So, and I really like the analogy of a 3-star Michelin restaurant. Because when you go to a Michelin restaurant, the food has to be high quality. So software is good, but then there is the whole experience surrounding it that basically will make this restaurant to be a 3-star Michelin restaurant. So it's really not just about the software that has to be good, because this is like the base. This is table stakes. It's like you need to make sure that everything that's surrounding it, the way that we communicate with the customer, the way that we are interacting with the customer, the way that we're listening, implementing, show them value very quickly, all of those elements has to be there in order to be kind of the top company. And I think that this is kind of pushing the bar, because as you said, when we started, it's like it was, do you have the feature? And right now, no, it's like, for sure you have to have the feature.
You know, we're actually in the experience age right now. Yeah. Like, this is no longer the information age. It's all about the experience that you can provide people.
Yeah. So we created a new term. We call it PLAD. Yeah. So basically, people-led, AI-driven. So people is defining what, you know, the experience. People, you're interacting with our people. But basically, when it's come to implementation, we're going to do it fast with AI. So you will get kind of the best of the best. So it's like we're kind of marrying kind of both of words together into create an experience, as you said, that it's different.
So I want to ask you a question that was your idea in the first place. So ever since you came up with this idea, I've asked everyone. So what is your contrarian opinion? What is your, your hot take, your thing that is contrary to what more normal people think all the time, and everyone is saying out there that it's against conventional wisdom, but you absolutely believe it's true. What is your contrarian cybersecurity hot take?
My contrarian cybersecurity hot take is that AI will replace all of our cybersecurity jobs. This industry is going to be leveled by AI for the better, because a lot of the things that we run into are a lot of human error. But yeah, that's my hot take, is one day that will happen. I don't know when, but it's going to happen 100%.
Yeah, it's like when you marry this thought with the fact that the bad guys will leverage AI in order to attack us, then it's like you will hear me saying it a lot. We need to fight fire with fire. Yeah. Because if bad guys are gonna start moving in AI speed in order to attack us, probably you are not wrong. That we will need to leverage kind of different mindset completely in order to deal with it, and it's like combining with AI in order to do. Then the question, what people will do, but we will see. I hope that we're gonna be here to see.
If you try to stop all of the misconfigurations, try to resolve all the alerts, close out all the incidents, and the adversaries using AI, there's gonna come a day where your stakeholders come to your door and they're mad. They're mad. They're saying, "Why are you still doing this manually?"
Yeah.
If I found out that someone on my team was writing meeting notes like the old fashioned way, I'm not talking about like a summary. I'm talking about like trying to say like Nate said, and then like put a colon and then what he said. I'd be upset if I found out that someone was doing that and on all their meetings, because it's taking you out of the people-led AI. Yeah. Like it should be AI driven or machine driven. Like I should be looking at things and saying, all clear.
Yeah.
But I think like getting into looking at IP addresses and reversing binaries, to me, that's something that's always felt a little friction oriented. Like I could do it. I enjoy a puzzle, but doing it every day just doesn't feel natural to me.
Yeah. So basically you're saying this is non-human work that need to be replaced. Yeah. And then there is a big question of what people will do. We don't know yet.
They'll figure something out.
Well, I like that you're talking about they, like we're not part of it. You're like we'll be gone.
We're talking about MCPs over here. I mean, we're moving on.
So I think that it will be a point in time that people kind of do not understand. It will be a period of time of a dip that people kind of, okay, we don't need L1, L2, and we don't need this, and we don't do that. But my experience is like there is a dip and then it's bounced back. People basically evolving to a much higher, better jobs. And we saw it through kind of history of how those things happen. So I do agree that people are not gonna need it in order to do those things, but they will do something else.
I got something to share. I get to see it on both sides. And I have a company, my company, Hacker Valley Media. We produce content for cybersecurity brands and just people in general. On the video side, everyone at my company terrified of AI because they've come to grips that AI is going to replace their job, and they're embracing it. They're trying to help AI replace their jobs. They're onboarding it. A lot of our teams are using these AI captioning tools, AI editing tools, and it's really supercharging them. And then when I'm speaking to a lot of cybersecurity practitioners, they're saying AI won't take their jobs. And I find that very peculiar, very interesting because, on one hand, like this industry that will be replaced, video editors, they accept it. But the cybersecurity practitioners, they refuse to accept it.
I don't know what we see anymore because it's like I spoke personally with probably more than 350 companies here in the US. I think that there is a common thread that everybody knows that it's inevitable. So it's like they know that it's coming. the question, which amplitude and how fast. It's like this is, we didn't agree as an industry yet. But is it coming? I think that by now it's like everybody knows. I think that it's just coming faster than people think.
I think there will always be an informed party, a responsible person that's going to lead that part of the business. And maybe the CISO will still be around. Maybe there will always be the MSPs, because you need a partner to help ensure your success. But just like years and years ago, decades ago, we needed to have an accountant to start a business. You needed to have all these other executives, really, and their teams to start a business, but you don't need those things anymore. And I think security is kind of falls into that category where, for many, it's a luxury rather than a necessity.
What if you had a magic wand and you get back 25% of your time? What would you do?
I would divide it up. I wouldn't invest it all in one place.
Smart.
I would probably invest another 5 to 10% of my time in my morning. I love a good morning. Like a lot, there's people that don't say good morning, and they're not morning people. Me, I'm a morning guy. I love a good morning.
Not me.
So I would have 5 to 10% more morning. So that's where I would use some of it. And for my mornings, just to let you all know, like it's partially on my own, which I love. Like love having a little time to myself, and then family time. I get to cook the family breakfast. I try to cook every morning for my family a special breakfast. I'm talking like beignets, waffles, pancakes, eggs, sausage, biscuit, whatever. But I would I cherish that time, and I would spend another 15% on my body. I would love to be able to just kind of like be an athlete, like focus on my body a good 3 to 5 hours a day. Getting older, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the aspects of not doing that. So I would love to do more of that.
So one thing we're trying now is we've got 5 rapid fire questions. So I'm just going to hit you with these really, really fast. Just whatever comes into your mind. All right, here we go. There should be like a sound effect right now. There it is. All right. Okay. So worst cybersecurity advice that everyone still gives.
Humans are the weakest link.
Okay. Most overused LinkedIn security buzzword.
CTEM.
Okay. Best book about security that isn't about security.
Project Zero Trust.
All right. The thing that we did at Black Hat, where if you weren't in your current job, what you're doing right now, you could be on the cover of a magazine for a totally alternate career. What is that? What is the alter ego Ron doing, and on the cover of what magazine?
I'm a chef.
Okay.
I'm on the cover of the most popular cooking magazine, competitive cooking magazine, with Gordon Ramsay. It's me and him side by side, and it kind of looks like a head off.
Okay, you should be seeing that right now. And then the final question, outside of the content you create, the stuff that you read online, the videos that you were just talking about from those creators, where do you get inspiration completely outside of those things that have anything to do with your job?
Tony Robbins, he's been giving me just inspiration for decades, still doing it.
I mean, everybody knows the answer to this question, but where can people find you? Where can they follow your work? Where do you direct people to learn more about Ron?
Best place is LinkedIn. But you can also check out our website, hackervalley.com. We're on all the streaming platforms, but we'd love for anyone to connect on LinkedIn. That's the best place to reach out.
Boom.
All episodes of Do Human Work are available at 7ai.com/podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Please share, subscribe, and if you have suggestions for future guests, let us know at dohumanwork@7ai.com.